you. Some of us say, well, you know what, Lord, this is what I feel. This is my first child that I've been really praying for, God. You know, I ain't never got it. You know, I've been asking you and praying, and, you know, I want this child. And so, Lord, once you get the child, you're like, dang, Lord, did I tell you I was going to give him? Did I tell you I was going to give him back to you? Well, see, this is what I was thinking. That if you let me share him with you, then, you know, we might can work on something. But when you make a promise to God, you have to keep your promise if you want what God has for you. It's so easy sometimes for us to get sticky-fingered with the gifts that God has given us. We want to hold on to them and keep them for ourselves. But like Hannah, when we give God what is most precious to us, we can trust Him with everything. Because God always gives us that much more. Just like it say in Luke 12 and 48, I'm just going to sum it up, but much given, much required. Because her worship was different when she went in the temple, she had a made-up mind to show God that her worship was for real. So Prophet Eli thought that she was drunk and people telling them, you know, to take it away from her. And, you know, that's how it is when, you know, we really mean what we, you know, what we say to God. And we finally get a true worship and we come down here and we worship God. We give Him everything that, you know, that He deserves. And we finally have a made-up mind. People feel like, she must be going. Is she going to maybe she lost her house. Maybe, you know, she lost her car. You know, maybe she went through depression. But sometimes it's just for the making. So God finally granted her wish and gave her a son. And she called him Samuel. Just as she promised God, she gave him back to God, and Samuel became a mighty man of God. When you make your promises to God, make sure you keep them. Because when you fail to keep your promises, God will lose His trust in you. So in my closing, waiting for things is not a curse. God always uses it to produce a blessing, only if you remain faithful. So one more time as I close, I want to say, look at your neighbor and say, your